It won. It was really good when the game first started, and then just kind of slowly dwindled off as people hit 50. Um,
User was moved to
in
your
terms
channel.
of revitalizing the PvP servers, which I honestly don't feel can happen because there's so few people left on them. Do you guys have any plans to do any type of incentives to get people back to the PvP servers and back into World PvP?
I mean, so basically, like this, what we're focusing on right now is a whole bunch of changes just to the kind of the core
Hey,
PvP
wake up.
systems to make PvP more fun, to make PvP more rewarding, and to do a lot of changes based around those so that it will naturally kind of bring people back and get people more interested in PvP. Those changes are not specifically aimed at PvP rule set servers, but sort of indirectly, I think those changes will help them out quite a bit. And then once we have these changes and these rounds of things done, then we can begin looking at specific rule set changes.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Eclipse, you were pretty quick to message me, so go ahead.
When it comes to world PvP, I think that a lot of people are talking about things that aren't really
User
necessarily
was
an issue
moved
with
to your
world PvP.
channel.
When it comes to world PvP, the reason why people aren't on Warhound is because because PvP in general just isn't good right now. But we're working on it, right? That's what we're here for.
Right.
So I don't really see a reason to talk about incentives for world PvP until there's a situation where PvP is more balanced or PvP has a huge following, etc. Because world PvP in itself is inherently unbalanced and laggier, and the devs have said themselves too, it's harder to hit, the registry is different. Would it be a better idea in general to just increase the experience gained from PvP overall? That way it gives an incentive to play on the PvP server where people can say, oh, I want to level up as a PvPer too, instead of having to say, well, I want to level up in groups, etc. That way people can actually be on the server designed for PvP.
Okay. And we also need to cover arenas. We got really caught up on the gear thing. So Eclipse makes a good point, so let's just skip over World PvP right now. Arenas, extremely important, and I know that one of the Carbine devs is in charge of that, which makes me happy because he's done such a good job in other areas. So talk about arenas, Carbine. What is your plans for them? And then after you guys do that, we'll give the community a chance to ask their final
Hey,
questions.
wake up.
So something that I alluded to on the forums that we're looking at towards the future is updating the way that we do
Hey,
the
wake up.
ELO system.
Hey, wake up.
Right now we've been looking at different ELO models, establishing floors, starting at a point in which at the beginning nobody loses points, so they don't have that negative experience starting out, that kind of thing. So that's the first thing that we're looking towards. So now's a good time to provide feedback on the forums. You guys have been. I've been reading that thread. Another thing that we're looking at possibly doing in the future is trying to focus everybody, at least the competitive aspects of arenas, into the 3v3 slot, where we think that the team comps will be much better, a little less polarized play, and provide for a little more interesting combat. So we're looking at possibly tying the season rewards to 3v3,
Hey, wake up.
and some of that stuff to it.
Hey, wake up.
I have so many pokes, my goodness. So one thing that one of my biggest issues is disconnecting an arena gives deserter. Also, when is Icebox going to come out? Those two questions were kind of on my mind.
The disconnecting is something I actually just sent over to engineering recently that we're going to look into. That definitely is a bug, and it should give you the full, same as in kind of other parts of the game, like 30 seconds until your character leaves the world in order to get back in.
Okay, awesome. And
Icebox is still no specific ETA, but it's definitely coming someday.
All right, Eclipse, and I'm gonna let Kron go first. So Kron, go ahead, man.
All right, so one of the biggest things about removing the gear gating rating or gated rating is you're going to hinge so much on class balance. And in the past, we've seen these changes happen in the PvE aspect that negatively affect PvP or vice versa. Do you guys have any plans to address that kind of issue, to kind of isolate the PvE from the PvP changes to where they're not affecting each other?
If you're asking if we're going to have different rule sets for abilities based on PvE or PvP, no, we're not. But we're always going to try to make changes that make sense for both aspects. That's what we're striving to. You know, I've got a great group of designers that are all very PvP oriented. So they're really trying to make sure that every change they make kind of makes sense in both PvE and PvP.
Okay, awesome. Eclipse, you said I needed the banhammer ready, so let's keep this civil, but go ahead.
Oh, no, I said I got a hammer ready.
Oh, okay. All right.
Don't ban me. I haven't done anything wrong yet.
Yeah, keyword.
Ban him quick.
No, okay. My question is this Townhall is great and it's good for, you know, future forward purposes and stuff like this, but I just can't help but wonder, you know, what am I supposed to do in the meantime? Like right now I can't even queue up for 2v2 because if I queue up against somebody that's brand new after like 15 minutes or, you know, the queue blocks, blah, 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 like it's going to be a stomp fest. There's basically no reason to queue up for arenas, and there's going to be even less of a reason once you release the prestige gear. Like, what are we going to do for 3 or 4 months for the people that actually like arenas and want to play this game for PvP? Like, can you guys just like give us like a nice, like concise and meaningful way to say, hey, we want you to play this game for the next 3 months because we want you to be active in the PvP like systems that are already here? Like, we're just looking for something really. You can take your time on that question if you want.
What sort of rewards would keep you playing if we did something like that?
Just what sort of rewards? I don't know. Like, is there any reason to say, hey, I want to queue up as a new player, and I want to say, well, what's the point of doing a rated arena? Because there's no point in doing a rated arena because all the gear progression that I want is going to come from, you know, prestige, all that stuff. And we're looking at 4 to 5 months until drop 5 for all this other stuff. So for all the people that aren't brand new to the game and all the people that, you know, are still competitive trying to play arenas that can't even get queues in 2v2, like I don't even know why we're even talking about 3v3 when we can't even get queues in 2v2. So it's like, well, what kind of incentive do we have to continue to play and to continue to queue up? You know, dailies don't really do much for us as far as arenas go. And like, what are you going to do for us in the short term?
Arena tournaments.
Like a simple leaderboard would be good to bring back, you know, the Excel file or something along those lines, to just so people can see, you know, who's the top, or give a reason to compete. You know, even if there are some people that necessarily win traded or something like that, it's nice to be able to say, hey, that's that guy that beat us a couple times. He's really high rated. I want to be encouraged to play against him or her and beat them, and beat their team, etc.
Short. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on your definition of short-term versus long-term. I mean, short-term, what we're really focused on right now is trying to really fix a lot of the core issues with PvP, kind of on the back end, with the balance and the gear progression and the gear disparity and all of that stuff. And then as we work on that, we're adding the other stuff like all the quests and the dailies and stuff like, and more stuff to purchase through Prestige. There will be end of season 1 rewards. And so those ratings and being the highest rated and stuff like that will have an impact on that. And in the future, yes, that is stuff that we want to add, like leaderboards and more competitive stuff with season 2 and all of that. But we have to get that stuff fixed before starting another season or doing something like that really makes sense, because otherwise we'd run into the same issues that we have right now.
Let me jump off that. You said end of season rewards. Are we going to have, maybe before drop 5, a chance to compete and play rated and have a reason to queue up? Because, you know, right now I have all the prestige gear. You know, everybody's going to have that in a couple weeks anyway. Like, are we going to have something like that? Are we going to be able to, like, look forward to something over the next 3 to 4 months, or are we waiting till those 4 months to start looking forward to things again? Does that make sense? I don't. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, are you saying that
he's basically asking for, since all of us try in PvP right now, essentially we have to set days and times for us to actually get queues right now. So what is the reason for us to keep doing that until the change is basically what he's asking? Because right now, if you're at Eclipse's level, he has all the gear, he has all of the runes. He doesn't really get anything for continuously trying to set up different matches and things with other guilds and that kind of stuff. So what is our incentive to keep PvPing until the actual changes occur?
I don't want to make it just me, because I've spent a lot of hours. We're going to have a situation.
Well, I'm just talking about in general. I'm just talking about in general.
Very
so,
soon.
Yeah.
Short term, we're not really going to be adding anything, but that is definitely something that is part of the core of why we're making all of these changes, is so that stuff actually feels rewarding, and that you have a lot of reasons. And if improving your rating and trying to get rewards at the end of season stuff is not compelling to you, then, you know, I mean, that's the same thing as like me telling you to go raid. Like, that's not compelling to you.
Well, raiding gets you loot, and you queue up with other people, and you get nice world first things, you know, whenever you kill bosses. If you start, you know, like PvP, there's nothing right now. Like, we want a PvP, you just gotta let us. That's what we're saying.
I think if you listed out the in-season rewards and made them shiny enough, I think it would incentivize a lot of people.
Okay. What we'll do after this is start a thread on the forums and basically to start a dialogue of what sort of rewards for that sort of system would be compelling for you guys to keep you competing in those systems.
Okay. I mean, honestly, guys, I think that's all we can really ask for right now, because, I mean, right now that they have said, and we are going to be closing up the town hall here in just a couple minutes. But right now they have said that they are working on changes that'll come within, you know, a couple weeks, quote unquote ish, halftime, valve time, you know, however you want to look at that. But changes are coming, and I think it's clear with the PvP roadmap that they are trying to incentivize people to get back into PvP. The gear changes are coming. No more boom boxes. No Vork. It's a terrible idea. No boom boxes. So I think overall, I think we all are equally frustrated with the way that PvP has been over the last couple months. But it's very clear that Carbine is definitely taking steps in the right direction. Now, they're going to take a little bit because of just what development time does, and they had to do Drop 3, they had to do Drop 4, and those were the basic necessities to kind of stabilize the game. Unfortunately, PvP is always kind of overlooked when it comes to MMOs, just because that's a very smaller player base. And I think that what we're seeing, and obviously what Carbine has been able to do, is come on here very publicly, say, and talk with us. I mean, developers don't do that a lot, guys. So I think it's fair to say that things will change for the better, and if we stick it out just a little longer, I think we'll be able to get rewarded for that. And again, I share everyone's frustration with that. But any closing comments? Try and keep them short. But yeah, closing comments. Anybody?
Well, I wasn't able to PvP for months because of the legendary gear. and it caused me to quit this game, and this patch really brought it back for me to come back. And I believe in Carbine, and I really think that you guys have the capability to make this the best MMO, because you got Blizzard copying everything you do with housing and now cred.
That's right, they do. They do.
You got them on the hill, so you just gotta
We
give
better
your
not
best.
get selfies.
Please, dear sweet mother, no. All right, so the Carbine devs would like to say their closing statements. So if you guys could just be respectful and just kind of listen to what they have to say. Thank you.
First off, I just want to say thank you all for coming out. I really